If you have clicked onto this video, I am sure that this video and this message is for you. Today, I'm going to talk Old Testament God. And whether you are a believer or not a believer, I know that this is for you. My goal is to tap into this Bible that is very tricky and very confusing and full of a bunch of information, a lot of it that seems contradictory and hypocritical. And if you're not a believer, which I have not always been a believer, especially if you're reading the Old Testament, you're like, God was a wild man. God, when I used to read the Old Testament, I'm just going to start off and tell you guys, I've not always been a believer. And when I would read this Old Testament, I'd have to put it down. I'd be like, this is not a God that I want to follow. However, now I'm about 9 years in and God has really gotten in there and changed my heart. And my goal is to get on here and help maybe change somebody else's heart. Help maybe open up somebody else's eyes so they can actually see the goodness of God, how good he is, how faithful he is, how true he is, how real he is, and how loyal he is. So today I'm going to tap into the Old Testament because I know it's hard and I know it's tricky. I'm going to do another video about Adam and Eve and the tree and how God told them not to eat from it and all that kind of stuff and free will. I'm going to do another one on this, but today I'm specifically going to be in Exodus. And if you've ever watched any movies or you've ever heard anything about Moses was God's man. Moses was sent. He was sent to free the Israelites. They walked out in the wilderness for all of these years because, of course, like humans, with their free will, they kept just doing it their way. They kept tripping themselves up. They kept trying to find things of this world to make them happy. They kept doing it their own way with their own free will. And God was in there the whole time like, hey, I'm over here. I've got some commandments. I've got some ways for you guys to walk, and I've got some blessings to give you. But you got to turn to me. And as humans do, and as God made them, they got a lot of self-reliance in them. They got a lot of deceit in them. They got a lot of greed and a lot of different things. And so what I'm going to tap into today is Exodus chapter 34. And I'm going to break apart two small verses and try to get this out in 10 minutes. The first one is this. Moses, it's Exodus 34, verse 1. And so let me just set the scene for you. Moses has gone up to the mountain and he was writing down all the commandments on this stone that God was telling him. Those commandments which God still expects all of us to follow today. Don't kill. Don't steal your neighbor's stuff. Don't commit adultery and cheat on your spouse. Honor your mother and father. Every single commandment that God has ever given us, literally, you guys, it is backed and fueled by love. But because we are selfish creatures and we're self-centered creatures and we're scared creatures and we're prideful creatures and we think we can do a lot of this life on our own and we're not going to follow anybody. Over 40 years, I'm like, I ain't following no God. I ain't following nobody. Nobody's going to be my boss. And that's pretty much how these Israelites walked through this wilderness. So Moses was God's dude. And he's up there and he's writing down these commandments and the people are down there waiting on Moses. He was up there 40 days, 40 nights. And the people are like, we don't even know where this guy went. So we're going to create our own God. We're going to create our own idol. As we do in this life. How do we create our own idols? Well, let's see. We get into relationships where we try to change them or we try to change ourselves to be better for them. We try to get these jobs so we can make more money, more money, more money. We try to get on TikTok and we put all these fake things over ourselves to make us look perfect. We make our own selves an idol. Every single thing of this world that we are thinking about and doing and putting before God is an idol. And God's like, listen, I'm not asking you to turn to me because I need you and because I'm trying to keep you down. I'm asking you to turn to me because if you do it your way, you're going to trip yourself up. You're going to become greedy. You're going to become anxious. You're going to become expectant. You're going to become defensive. You're going to become obsessive. You're going to try to control. You're going to try to manipulate. You're going to be offended. And God says, I didn't create you for that. I created you to walk with me and the birds and the trees and have joy and have trust and have peace. And so Moses is up there. Finally, he comes down and he sees that all these Israelites have now created their own idols. And Moses is mad and he chucks these big old, rock commandments down on the ground. And God's all, hey, hold up. This is the first verse. He says to me, he says, come on, come back up to this mountain. He says, and I am going to put the words again on these tablets that you broke. That's number one. God, and this is the point that I wanted to plow on this. We will break things in our lives over and over and over and over and over. We will continue to walk toxic cycles. We will continue to act and react certain ways. And God will continually show up in our lives and go, let me help you again. Let me help you again. And let me help you again. That's why I put that in there. The second part of this is Exodus 34. And it's 11 through 15. And I'm not going to read it, but look it up, you guys. I'm going to put it up here. Basically, what God is saying is, if you observe my commandments, if you just talk to me and walk with me and get to know who I am. Number one, he says, I am going to drive out all of the bad guys. Lots of times the Bible is also metaphorical. So God says, if you walk with me, I'm going to drive out all your fears. I'm going to drive out all your scars. I'm going to heal you. I'm going to give you strength. I'm going to drive out your weakness, and I'm going to give you strength. And I'm going to drive out your scars from your past and in your misconceptions about your future and the deceitful parts of your heart. God says, I'm going to do that if you walk with me. And he goes, but you, he continues to say, you shall destroy any altars, anything you've made an idol to, and any sacred pillars. So what is that saying? That means anything that you put in the position of God, anything that you are thinking about more than you're thinking about God, anything that you're going at it, that you're not inviting God into it, you got to take part in destroying that. God is going to come in and he's going to take care. He is the God of justice, and he's going to handle anybody that hurt you. Anybody that did you wrong, anybody that is doing you wrong, God's going to handle if you walk with him and you follow his commandments. He says, but you got your part. You've got your part. If you're addicted, go to an AA meeting. If you're working 24/7 and all you can think about is that job, honor the Sabbath. Take a day and spend it to just relax. If you are constantly looking at yourself and looking at your body and trying to be perfect, he says, get into my word. Learn about how I made you perfectly. I formed you in your mother's womb before the world was even created. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God says, get to know me. I'm a good God. I love you. I created you for joy and for strength and for peace and forgiveness. And all of these Old Testament stories, it goes on past the Old Testament, you guys. If you've ever watched a cowboy and Indian movie, holy crud. Cowboys were fighting Indians. Everybody was fighting the Mormons. Everybody's trying to get their own land as they're going west across the Oregon Trail. It's why it was called the Wild West, because everybody was following their own deceitful heart. God told me to do it. God said, this is mine. God said, this is mine. What God also said is, I will be the one. I will be the one to drive things out. I will be the one to make it happen. Your job is to love me. Your job is to love others. Your job is to get to know me and walk with me and follow me. And I promise you, I absolutely promise you with everything inside of my heart and soul, if you spend some time every single day and you invite God in and you get to know who he is, you are going to experience the God of the universe that is backed by love and kindness and grace and mercy and forgiveness. And God will do his part. He promises goodness for you, not evil, not harm. He promises a future. He promises that all things work for good for those who love him, those who observe what he commands. And it's not because he wants to keep you under his thumb. It's because he knows when you venture away from him, and he knows you're gonna. He knows you're gonna. He's not mad about it. He created you with a brain. He created you to question things. He created you to doubt things. He created you to question him so you would get to know him. He created you with that free will so you would do it enough on your own, and eventually his hopes are that you turn back to him. So today I challenge you, invite God into your life. All you need to do is just say, I want to try, God. I want to try. Come into my life, God. Help me, show me, guide me, and do it every single day. And I promise you, it doesn't happen quick. And it's not going to be easy. He promises you're going to have troubles and you're going to have trials, but it is going to be better because the God of the universe, who is pushing everything along, he will help guide you and he will bless you and he will give you his strength and his peace and his joy and his discernment. Come on this journey with me for 21 days and let's get to know God.